Well, long time no listen. Welcome back to the Melmat Podcast, and it's been quite a while since I've done a Melmat Podcast, and there's not really a particular reason that I haven't done any. I went to Disney World a couple weeks ago, so that kind of contributed, but most of it it's just that I haven't really felt motivated. And I've just been so kind of busy lately with work, and it's just haven't had the time. But yeah, I'll try and make weekly episodes again because I really do like doing this podcast. So anyway, I'll go ahead and get it started. First of all, I have this actually just came out today. And I just want to talk about it for just a moment because it really does concern probably my favorite artist, possibly ever right now. And Joan Jett is finally getting into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And I have to say, it is about time. Like, it's been past due to get into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I think she's being inducted along with Green Day and the Lou Reed. I'm not sure who else. And Stevie Ray Vaughan. Stevie Ray Vaughan's getting in. Other than those few, I don't know the rest. Nor do I care, because the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is just a joke now. And I mean, Joan Jett should have been in there a long time ago. And for that matter, the Runaway should be in there as well. But it's pretty exciting to see Joan Jett get inducted because it's sort of the highest honor a musician can actually have. So it's just really exciting. You know, it's going to be great to see Joan Jett finally get recognized by the Rock Hall. And, it's just really great, you know. Joan Jett finally getting inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and no one deserves it more than her. Like, it's simple as that. No one deserves it more than her. And she should have been in a long time ago, but she's getting in now, and it's just awesome. So I just want to talk about that very briefly because I really love that. So I'll go ahead and start with my shoutouts. As usual, Chucky's Playground. Just a great place to be, you know, awesome place to be, one of my favorite places in the world. And we're actually having a live stream of Home Alone this Friday, and it's going to be very, very fun. You know, so if you don't want to miss that, come on in and join us at Chucky's Playground because it is just going to be absolutely amazing. It's just going to be great for everybody involved, and I really cannot wait. It's just going to be awesome. That's all I can say. It's going to be awesome. And as usual, Movie Mayhem with Spanking G still cranking out new episodes week after week. And the latest one that they did was on A Christmas Story, the original Christmas Story. And I really liked that episode. I thought that episode was very good. And I really like the original Christmas Story as well. I thought it was pretty good. You know, it's pretty timeless, you know. But yeah, it was just a great episode. You know what I mean? Just very entertaining and very fun, and I can't wait to see all the future episodes that they do because they are very entertaining. They have great charisma and great chemistry, so it's definitely going to be fun to see what else they're going to do this month. So that's all for the shouts, and now it is time to shoot the shuffle, something we haven't done in quite a while. So let's see what we got here. Without further ado, let's get things started. At number 1, The Joker by Steve Miller Band from The Joker. And this is a pretty good one, you know. It's a really, really good classic rock song. Number 2, Cathedral by Van Halen from Diver Down. And this one is a brief little instrumental. It sounds like a cathedral in a church, but I think it's just like a guitar or something like that. I really don't know, but it's pretty interesting to listen to, that's for sure. Number 3, And She Was by Talking Heads from Little Creatures. This one is a pretty interesting track. Talking Heads has always been a pretty interesting little new wave band. Number 4, Lightning Strikes by Aerosmith from Rockin' a Hard Place. Rockin' a Hard Place is a pretty forgettable album. But with that said, it did have some good tracks on there. Lightning Strikes is one of them. Number 5, Ain't Talking About Love by Van Halen from Van Halen. This is a pretty good track from Van Halen's first album. It's pretty good. Number 6, Girlfriend by Matthew Sweet from Girlfriend. This is a pretty cool alternative 90s little song. Number 7, Off Wiedersehen by Cheap Trick from Heaven Tonight. This one is a pretty good track from Cheap Trick. Cheap Trick is a really, really good power pop band. Number 8, Rust in Peace, Polaris by Megadeth from Rust in Peace. I'd say this is probably my favorite Megadeth album. I thought this was a really good thrash metal album. Number 9, A Dish Best Served Coldly by Typo Negative from Life is Killing Me. I love Typo Negative, and this one is a very good song from their 2003 album, which I think is pretty underrated. And number 10, A Lookin' in View by Alice in Chains from Black Gets Way Blue. This one is a pretty good song. It's 7 minutes long, so I love, songs like that, So, that's it for Shoot the Shuffle, and now it is time to talk about the main events. And, one thing I want to say before I go any further, that I'm no longer going to be announcing in advance what I'm doing, because one, it could change. I often change my mind on what I'm going to do very often, and 2, I like it to be a bit more of a surprise, really. I kind of want you to be surprised at what I'm going to do. So I'm not going to announce things in advance anymore. I want it to be a bit of a surprise from now on. So anyway, the movie I'm going to talk about today is Santa's Sleigh. And this one is going to be pretty interesting, to say the least. And this movie is a Christmas movie, of course, but it's an odd Christmas movie, to say the least. It's a Christmas horror film, as it was. And there's actually a lot of those. And I might do a couple of them throughout this month. Might do a few Christmas-related movies or music or whatever as the month goes on. So, and the movie stars Bill Goldberg, of all people, as Santa Claus. And I just thought that was so interesting. And the way I heard of this movie, I was watching an episode of The Cinema Snob, which is a great online review series, and then I believe it was in the episode Silent Night, Deadly Night 2, where he reviewed Silent Night, Deadly Night Part 2, and he was mentioning all the controversy over the first Silent Night, Deadly Night, and he's like, where are these idiots when Santa's Sleigh came out? In Santa's Sleigh, Santa actually is killing people. That actually, it sort of aroused my curiosity, as it were. And I was like, you know what? Santa, an actual Santa killing people. I might actually have to watch this. This might actually sound, very interesting and very cool. So I ended up watching it about a week ago, I think. About a week ago. And It's pretty interesting, to say the least. And it begins on Christmas Eve, and then there's this family, and this family is played by a lot of pretty notable people. James Caan is the father. You might know him from The Godfather. He played Sonny Corleone. He was in the original Rollerball, and he was, of course, in Elf as Buddy's dad. So, and then the mom is played by Fran Drescher. She's from UHF. And The Nanny, the TV show The Nanny, which I'm not afraid to say I actually like. I actually think that show's pretty funny. So, and I think Chris Kattan is one of the people as well. He was on Saturday Night Live back in the late 90s, early 2000s. So there's a lot of notable people in there. And Santa ends up killing them all. And some of the deaths they're kind of creative. Other times they're just not paint by numbers in a way. I think the most interesting death was Fran Drescher's, because her head gets set on fire and she gets drowned in eggnog. That was probably the most interesting death in that scene. And then he's riding on his sleigh driven by his hell deer. And then pretty much the rest of the movie, he's just killing people. And the idea of the film is that Santa Claus is actually a demon. And it's sort of implied that he might be Satan or the spawn of Satan or something like that. I'm not 100% sure. But he is like a demon. And he made a bet with this angel 1,000 years ago. And the bet was that if Santa could defeat the angel in a curling match, the angel's soul would go to hell. And if the angel won, then Santa would have to be good and deliver gifts to children for 1,000 years. And Santa ended up losing the curling match. And he ended up having to do Santa Clauses, to be Santa Claus for 1,000 years. And that's when I kind of got confused, because, you know what, if the angel really wanted to stop this demon, then why didn't he just do it for all eternity? Why not? Why 1,000 years? That's something that never really made any sense to me, personally. But anyway, there's not, other than Goldberg and a couple of the people in the opening scene, there's not a lot of notable people in here. I guess a big one would probably be Robert Culp. And he was in the original I Spy TV series. So that's one way you might know him. Yeah, but other than him, there's really not a lot of notable people in here. And another one you might recognize is Dave Thomas, who plays Pastor Timmons. He kind of plays like a crooked minister. And you might know him. He was a Mountie in the Canadian Road Trip episode of That 70s Show. And that's where I know him from. He was also in the Brother Bear movies. He played one of the Moose. And some Canadians might know him as Doug and Bob McKenzie on some sketch show. I don't remember what it's called. SCTV, I think that's what it's called. I'm not too sure. I could be wrong on that. I think it's called SCTV or something like that. It was some kind of Canadian sketch comic show. So that might also be where some people know him from. And then Santa goes in a strip club and he just kills everybody. And then it also, the protagonist is a teenager named Nicholas. And he lives with his grandfather, who's played by Robert Culp. And he's like this crackpot inventor. And everybody thinks that he's crazy. And he hates Christmas. And after he witnesses Mr. Green's murder, and that's his boss, he's taken to the police station for questioning, and of course, nobody believes him. And so they end up escaping on Grandpa's snowmobile, and Grandpa ends up getting killed. And so they're almost killed by Santa Claus on a Zamboni, but they're ended up saved by Grandpa, who actually happens to be the angel that originally defeated Santa. And Santa Claus ends up being alive, and he's born the flight from Winnipeg to the North Pole. And I would just say this: Goldberg's performance in this one. First of all, Goldberg wasn't the most charismatic superstar you could have in wrestling. He could never really cut a good promo, but he never really talked that much to begin with. So it's not what you would expect it to be. I mean, he really doesn't do much in the film. All he does is, he pretty much kills people. And when he does talk, he's sort of like Freddy Krueger when he talks, but he delivers a lot of one-liners. Like, yes, Virginia, there is a Santa Claus, because one of the characters' names in the beginning scene is Virginia. And then a character shines a light in his eye, and he's like, I'm Santa Claus, not effing Dracula. Which I will admit got a laugh out of me. But yeah, his performance, you kind of got to go into this film with really low expectations. Really, I mean, it's called Santa's Sleigh. It's a Christmas horror movie about Santa Claus killing people. You sort of have to know what to expect. And they really don't hide the fact that Santa Claus is played by Goldberg. Because Goldberg, I think they play Goldberg's music, part of Goldberg's theme in here. Goldberg actually sets up one of his kills by a spear, which I thought was pretty funny. And at the very end of the movie, he looks over his nihilist and he says, "Who's next?" And that kind of got a groan at me. I'm like, really? Did he really say that? Like, and I think you can actually see his, tattoo. Like, he has a logo that's pretty much his tattoo on his arm. And he's wearing a skull cap at the very end of it. That's sort of like it, but it has a circle on the center of it. So they really don't hide the fact that he's played by Santa, that he's played by Goldberg. So yeah, that's... and the two kids in here, the two teenagers, they're probably the worst actors in the film. I mean, they aren't god-awful, but they're really not that great. So that's pretty much it. I mean, there really isn't a lot to say about this film. I mean, basically, you kind of got, like I said earlier, you gotta go into this with pretty low expectations. Don't expect anything great from this. It's a bit low budget, I mean, if you kind of go into it with low expectations and the fact that Goldberg plays Santa, then you might get some enjoyment out of this one. Personally, I thought it was a decent movie. It was a little bit better than I thought it was going to be. I'll give it that. But yeah, it's I'd say it's decent. If you're a wrestling fan and you just want to see Goldberg, you might enjoy it, but not as much as you would think you would. So I think the movie's a pretty solid movie. I'd say give it a watch just once, just so you could say you've seen it. So that's it for the Mailman Podcast this week. And a surprise movie this Friday. What will it be? We'll find out this Friday. So that's all for the Mailman Podcast, and I'll see you then.